Griff, what's the fitness news? Who's in and out for this week?
A few bumps and bruises to work our way through the training week, really. With the Canadians being checked on a daily basis. Also, Brendan's wife's due to give birth as well, so there's an issue there. So we've just got to look at a couple of things. But by and large, certainly most of the pack is fit and firing. There's good competition there. It's just trying to look at what fits this week, then the week after, then the week after, and putting it all together whilst realising it's a big stage for us and when we want to perform in.
What's the plans for the decision on Brendan Leonard then?
We'll see and hope for perhaps something today, but family always comes first, so I think if nothing's happened, and obviously he'll stay at home and support his wife, who's a week overdue.
And what's the state of fitness of the Canadian pair, Tyler Ardron and Jeff Hassler?
Both again have done modified work today. Jeff has taken full part in all the units, the backline stuff we've done. And again, in terms of adding impact to the session, he certainly does that. And I've said, probably regularly in these sort of these meetings that he's someone you want on the field. But again, it's the risk reward, and we've got to be careful with Jeff's season, rushing him into certain things. Did the zebra week, played 50 odd minutes, got him off the field, which was pleasing. But then you get a tweak in the next working week. So again, with big games around the corner, we'll have to look up the options we've got available, and there are a few options. I think that people step in and do a reasonably good job first behind.
What about the overall situation of the game? And a rather less than convincing win against 14 men at home. You need to step things up quite a bit, don't you, away?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. We were disappointed. We were scratchy. Without paying sort of disrespect to Bordeaux, they've got a 20-minute operational budget, and that presents its own challenges. So even though on the face of it they've swapped most of their side around, it's still the side for the large bulk of it that went away to Gloucester and got them in this competition in the playoff at the back end of last year. People like Heine Adams at 9, and Felix Leparis at 13. There's lots of danger men there. Boughton, second row, Kepu coming into players, the tight head. Chalmers in the back row. There's a lot of depth into that squad, let alone players who played the week before in Stade. So they may mix and match this side again this week as a home game. Other people will come in, but it's not going to make that much of a difference to our approach. We know we've got to be better, and where we were slightly dysfunctional, although we built some good stuff early on. We didn't really build pressure on pressure, and that was something that we were frustrated with, because there were a lot of half openings, good speed in the initial part of the game, and the game may have changed. But credit to them, they hung in there as well. Like I said, they've got that fortitude as a squad, which perhaps you don't often see with some of the French teams. But home games, different animal with 23,000 people average crowd. It's the biggest in Europe, and we can't wait to play on that stage. Similar mindset to Clermont.
Is there a concern that you're over-reliant on Dan Biggar at the moment after he got all the points last time?
He's a huge influence, and we're blessed to have him. I know he's the heartbeat of what we do. But I think I wouldn't say over-reliant. We've got faith in people around him. He cannot do everything, and we shouldn't be asking him to do everything. You've got Alan Wynne, one of the world's greatest leaders and captains, around him. But you've got, I think, enough around the group as well, with Paul James, Justin Tipurick. All our minds have got good voices and understand that the sort of way we want to play the game. I crave more voices outside of Dan in the back line. And to be fair, people like Jeff, Jonathan Spratt, Josh, they all add their own little mix to it. So when we get it right, when we're firing and getting fluidity to our play, it isn't just about Dan Biggs. When we're sticky, he steps in, and we perhaps have to sort of prioritise different parts of our game, and he does that, and we did enough to win a game. But to be good, we need everyone on page and to be super good.
Out in Clermont, you said that you targeted 4 tries specifically. You got the 2 points in Clermont. Is this a similar approach or a different one in that the victory is more important than picking up bonus points?
We've spoke about being positive. There's areas where and how we'll be positive we've got to be clear with. And I think Clermont was, pens early on, we'll kick the corner, go for tries. And there'll be a part of that this weekend, but we might be more circumspect in other parts of our game. We've got the lowest turnover rate in all European competitions, and that's a positive. And you've got to have that sort of in your armoury. You can't be loose and crazy and being out of control with things you've done. Because even though Clermont was positive, we still gifted them lots of space, which they clearly took advantage of. So we cannot do that to a side equally as dangerous as Bordeaux. But managing the group to be as positive and as clear as we can be to actually win a game of rugby as well. So we can talk about tries and style, but actually it comes down to where and how you pressure them to win a game of rugby.
Speaking of managing groups, what's the schedule next week then before the Scarlets game on Boxing Day? How different will that be to your average week? They get Christmas Day off, I presume.
They do get Christmas Day off, yeah, but it's another normal working week, and I don't think the group would want any different. We're lucky we fly straight back from Bordeaux Saturday night, gives us Sunday recovery. Monday we'll be flushing through a few of the medical procedures and getting clarity on a couple of things. Tuesday be a big work day, and we'll probably have a little bit of downtime Wednesday, and we'll be doing a pretty bit of work on Christmas Eve, ready for Boxing Day. But that's in a sort of like a 6-day week. That's a pretty normal sort of procedure for us. So some things get crammed, but we're prepared for that and know where we want to be with it.
Off the field, any contract updates? Are you any nearer signing or getting nearer any of your big names for next season, like Rees Webb and Unwin Jones, Justin Tiprick?
Those discussions are ongoing behind the scenes, but nothing formal for me to report, and as usual we'll put it out there as and when. And
Lee Halfpenny, a lot more increased speculation about a possible return to the UK anyway. What's the Ospreys' position with him? What's their level of interest?
I think we just recognise a quality player who, if he's coming back to Wales, I think that's great for the national game. But I think there's so many negotiations around NDC with the governing body and other regions. We're probably very much looking after the players we're trying to recommit to the region, as opposed to someone like Lee potentially. But I think we've got to work our way through other areas of the squad as well.
Yeah, if he did come back to Wales, would you be disappointed at all if he's looking for Champions Cup rugby, if he went down the road to the other lot?
Possibly. That's all hypothetical. I think players will do what fits where they feel the development's at from a technical point of view, and something like the kicking aspect of it is a consideration potentially. But I'll say, as Lee knows, I've coached Lee. He's a quality player. He's such a humble human being, and he's going to do well wherever he ends up, and be looked upon as one of Wales' greats.
Yeah, I suppose you mentioned the kicking. It might be a bit of a waste having him and Dan Bigger in the same squad.
I'd probably argue otherwise, but yeah, you could say that.
Griff, just on Rees on the pitch, when do you expect him back? Because obviously Rees Webb on the pitch, when do you expect him back? Because he's a quick healer, and when do you think he can actually...
He is a quick healer, and I think, sometimes pulling him back, he's getting involved with a couple of extras at the moment. But I think we spoke about during the Six Nations period around getting a couple of games under his belt. I think that's important for him and us, if we can stay in contention for competitions within. If he comes into the February and back end of the year, I think he's obviously only going to add to what we can finish the season with. He might say otherwise and be looking at stuff around January, but I think we'll do what's right for the group and right for Rees as well, and that's often pulling him back.
If Tom Haberfield plays, are you confident he'll do the job, young man like that?
Absolutely, yeah. He's really good behind the scenes in that he knows all the intricacies of our game plan. I think he's got the potential to be a fast athlete off the mark. He shows that with some of his conditioning work. It's transferred in more and more to his rugby now. Seeing some explosion and speed coming into his game, and that's what we're craving from our nines. We see it with Rees, and I think even though Habers thinks the game really well, sometimes you can overthink, and we're just getting him to be more of a doer in the group, and he responds brilliantly. Defensively, he understands the positional sense of his role, relationship with 15 and wingers, and I think he's been with us a fair while now. He's close to 50 odd games or so, and that's going to come through. That level of experience and work behind the scenes, I think, will make him a great Osprey in time.
Griff, why has it been so difficult for the Ospreys over the years on the road in Europe, and particularly France?
Playing against some damn good sides, I think, looking at historically who we've gone up against in the biggest competition of all. from my experiences the last couple of years, I think we've gone to a one-score game, the last play of the game in Castra. The Racing game was really lively last year, one that we enjoyed because strategically we were strong and played a game of control and tempo on mostly our terms. But again, it's a one-score game that we could and should have nailed. Even to lose 3 years ago, we're right in the game, close on half-time with lots of chances. Clermont is probably a mirror image a couple of weeks ago with a strong finish from us. So we're thereabouts. I think mentally it holds no barriers to us, despite probably previous results. I think a lot of these players have gone nationally and won out in France the last couple of occasions. I think we're hoping for another huge appetite for the occasion. I'm sure we'll get the energy and vigour, and then it's about time we turn the French side over away from home.
And from your backs, what are you looking for this weekend?
Got to be clear how we build pressure. I felt there was a couple of half opportunities early on. We had a drive, then we broke out quickly. We got to the outside of them, but a cheap handling error in the wide channel when it was a clear chance to score. Likewise, our first set piece has broke the game open, again in the wide channel. And then we've come back and Jonathan's just forced an offload, which is half there. But these start to sort of build up through the course of a game, and we probably forced things too early, didn't settle, and likewise our set piece game second half that we couldn't build any pressure. So the backs have got to be part of a team that knows when and how to strike effectively, and when and how to actually pressure opponents through keeping possession, sometimes doing the simple things really well. We know we've got certain dynamic elements in our back line we try and bring in the game, but also where we've got to perhaps use the manpower we've got as well carefully.
Were you pleased with Harrow last week?
He's had a good block of work, to be fair to him, because he's come in and out of the side. Positionally, he's gone to inside centre against the Blues and off the bench in the last European games, and then obviously turns up back on the wing last week. And in a limited ball in hand game for us, which again I've spoken about the reasons for, he showed again an aptitude to get on the ball and actually beat people, and he can be one of our dynamic players in those channels. So I think, to be fair to him, his credit that he's adapted to the situation over the last couple of months, and come in and understood most of the detail we crave from him, and when he gets that level right, he can be a handful for most defences.